A NASA astronaut stares at a tiny, forbidden vial, human ashes, the last wish of his wife. According to official policy, no living soul is allowed to grant this request. Since 1962, stringent rules have kept personal items in space to a minimum, with a 0.68 kilogram limit and a hard ban on biological remains. Yet, as missions grew more ambitious, so did the secret pleas from grieving families, pushing astronauts to the edge of their careers. The story you're about to hear, the astronaut who smuggled his wife's ashes to the moon, isn't just a rumor. How did these secret tributes make it past NASA's airtight protocols? And what price did they pay to honor the dead among the stars? Every astronaut packs their personal preference kit under watchful eyes. The kit is small, barely the size of a sandwich bag, and the rules are clear. Each item must be listed, weighed, and approved weeks before launch. NASA's policy, in effect since the early 1960s, sets a hard cap, no more than half a pound, or about 227 grams for each astronaut's collection. The official language spells out what's allowed: flags, patches, medallions, maybe a photograph. Anything that hints at commercial value or could trigger safety concerns is strictly off limits. Items with biological material, including human ashes, are not named directly in the policy, but the intent is unmistakable. No remains. No substances that could leak, contaminate, or offend. Before launch, a committee reviews every manifest. Each kit is sealed and stored with the crew's gear, then inspected again before being loaded onto the spacecraft. After splashdown, the process reverses. Bags are checked against their manifests. Anything missing or extra raises questions. NASA's managers have always worried about the line between personal comfort and public trust. The agency's memos warn of the risks. Unauthorized items could endanger the mission, spark public scandal, or expose astronauts to disciplinary action. The rules are designed to be airtight. For astronauts, the message is simple: carry only what's approved and nothing more. Yet even as these policies grew stricter, the urge to carry something personal, something forbidden, never faded. The system leaves little room for sentiment, but grief and love don't follow checklists. A letter arrives at an astronaut's home address. The handwriting is shaky, the words careful. Sometimes it's a widow who writes, sometimes a son or a daughter. The message is always the same: please carry a piece of him with you. Sometimes there's a lock of hair, a scrap of cloth, or a tiny envelope of ashes. These requests don't come through official channels. They come late at night, whispered at funerals, or tucked into the pages of a favorite book. Astronauts have described these moments in private memoirs and oral histories, requests that carry more weight than any regulation. One astronaut remembers a friend's wife pressing a sealed envelope into his hand at a memorial service. Another recalls a mother's voice on the phone, asking for a promise she knew he shouldn't make. The grief is raw, the need for closure overwhelming. For the families left behind, space isn't just a frontier, it's a final resting place, a way to keep love alive beyond the reach of death. The astronauts, already carrying the burden of risk and expectation, now face something heavier: the hope of the bereaved. Some say yes out of loyalty, others hesitate, fearing what it might cost. Even those who refuse can't forget the look in a grieving parent's eyes. These moments don't appear in the official record, but they linger in the stories astronauts tell each other, late-night confessions about promises made, and sometimes quietly kept. On July 31st, 1999, a small capsule containing the ashes of planetary geologist Gene Cernan crashed into the moon aboard NASA's Lunar Prospector. This wasn't a secret act of rebellion, but an officially sanctioned tribute, the only human remains ever confirmed to rest on the lunar surface. Cerran's capsule carried a photograph and a line from Shakespeare, both logged in the mission's manifest. The gesture was public, approved, and celebrated as a rare exception for a scientist who'd spent his life studying impact craters. Not every memorial was so open. In 1972, Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke tucked a family photo into the dust near the Descartes Highlands. The image, signed by Duke, his wife, and their sons, was left behind as a private message. Duke later admitted the photo was never on any official list. No disciplinary action followed, but the act lingered in the grey zone between personal tribute and policy violation. Decades later, in 2008, private astronaut Richard Garriott smuggled a laminated card holding a pinch of James Doohan's ashes to the International Space Station. Garriott kept the card hidden behind a panel in the Columbus module, only revealing the secret years after his return. NASA's rules were clear: no human remains, no exceptions, but Garriott's confession and the gratitude of Doohan's family became part of the unofficial record. From sanctioned capsules to hidden cards, these stories reveal the spectrum of memorials in space. Some celebrated, some concealed, all driven by the need to leave a trace where none should exist. Rumors swirl in the quiet corners of astronaut reunions and online forums. The name Gene Cernan comes up more than once. Apollo 17's commander, the last human to leave footprints on the moon in December 1972, is at the center of a story that refuses to die. Some say Cernan carried a secret memorial, a slip of paper, a photograph, maybe even a trace of ashes, hidden in his suit or stowed in the Lunar module. The details change with each retelling. Official records show nothing out of the ordinary. NASA's stowage lists for Apollo 17 are public down to the last patch and medallion. There's no mention of anything unsanctioned. Cernan himself never confirmed the story. In interviews, he spoke about the loneliness of the lunar surface, the weight of representing all of humanity, but never about breaking the rules. Oral histories from other astronauts hint at a wider tradition. Some admit to slipping in a token or two, just small enough to escape notice. Others stay silent, even decades later, wary of risking reputations built on trust. NASA's official stance is that every personal item is accounted for, but the gaps in the photographic record and the silence in post-mission debriefs leave room for doubt. How many tributes lie scattered in the lunar dust, their origins known only to those who left them? The real number may never be known. The uncertainty keeps the stories alive, fueling debates about what should and shouldn't be allowed to rest on another world. Ownership of the moon is not just a legal puzzle, it's a moral crossroads. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty bans any nation from claiming territory beyond Earth, but says little about what individuals or companies can leave behind. For some, the idea of scattering human ashes on the lunar surface feels like a beautiful tribute. For others, it crosses a line. Indigenous leaders like President Bu Nygren, B-U-N-Y Gren of the Navajo Nation, have spoken out, calling the moon sacred and warning that lunar burials are a form of desecration. Environmental ethicists echo those concerns, arguing that even tiny traces of human remains could disrupt a pristine world. The debate is not just about policy, it's about respect, legacy, and who gets to decide what belongs on another world. In 1997, a Texas-based company called Celestis launched its first memorial spaceflight, carrying the ashes of Gene Roddenberry, Timothy Leary, and others into Earth orbit. Families could now buy a ticket for a loved one's remains to circle the planet, or even reach the moon. Each capsule was listed on the manifest, every launch cleared by regulators. The market grew. By the 2020s, Celestis and its competitors were offering lunar and deep space memorials, complete with live streams and digital tributes. Space agencies responded with new rules, like the Artemis Accords, which added language about planetary protection and cultural respect. What began as secret tributes became a business, reshaping how grief and remembrance travel beyond Earth. The frontier is no longer just for astronauts and their secrets. Now anyone can send a memory to the stars. NASA's personal preference kit policy, established in 1962, set a strict 0.68 kilogram limit and banned all biological remains from space missions. Yet mission records and astronaut memoirs confirm that items like Charles Duke's family photo in 1972 and Eugene Shoemaker's ashes in 1998 reached the lunar surface, often in quiet defiance of official rules. Some mementos remain unlogged, and the true number of secret memorials is still unknown, as several mission files are incomplete or classified. Indigenous communities, including the Navajo Nation, continue to protest the placement of human remains on the moon, citing cultural and spiritual concerns. Today, companies like Celestis offer commercial options for lunar memorials, while the 2020 Artemis Accords add new planetary protection language. Ultimately, the story of astronauts smuggling ashes and tributes into space reveals the ongoing struggle between personal grief, institutional boundaries, and humanity's search for meaning beyond Earth.